Welcome to the Longevity Protocol with Dr. Cristina Bosch and Dr. John A. Robinson. We'll be your guides to uncovering the secrets to optimal health, better sex, and happiness. From debunking aging myths to exploring the science behind what it means to live the Longevity Protocol, we'll dive into a wide range of topics. So, get ready for an exhilarating journey in what it means to live well and feel your very best at any age.
Hello.
Hi, you do really look beautiful in that dress, and you've got some serious heels on there today too. How do you feel? Are you stable in those heels?
I mean, I'm seated, so it works.
It's good. You're stable the way you're seated.
Yes.
But walking around, not so much.
Well, girls have like shoes and outfits that are just for like cocktail parties or just for standing parties, that kind of a thing.
And you have shoes that are specific for podcasts?
Sitting. No, for sitting, just like.
Dude, don't move, just sit there.
Yeah.
Wow, you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
This is a particular topic that we've talked before in other podcasts. We've talked a lot with our patients over the years, and we really wanted to dig into the birth control controversy.
Yeah, this is huge for us.
Birth control pill, I should say. Birth control pill.
Pill.
The pill.
Yeah.
The pill. And so we're going to talk about what is the pill? What does it do? How does it affect a woman's body? How does it affect social implications? How does it affect men? How does it affect how you choose a mate?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's really, really important. And again, just how is this whole thing, and what does it lead to for women? And what does that lead to for society at large?
Yeah, including like offspring get affected.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
So
can
what
I
is
just start by saying I just
yeah.
think birth control pills, caca.
You don't like it.
I don't like it.
You're going to say right up front, you're not a fan.
No.
And I'm
talking about birth control pill for the purposes of pregnancy prevention.
Pregnancy prevention.
And like kind of that's it.
Because there's all kinds of reasons why.
Well, I mean, they use it as like this magical pill for everything and anything.
It's the hangnail thing for the OBGYN.
But then those individual cases need individual attention, and then it may be a different medication or a hormone replacement or all kinds of issues. So my like blanket statement is for the female who's specifically on birth control for the purposes of preventing pregnancy, I feel like don't do it.
Got it. And I will say essentially the same thing. My angle has come from just looking at hormones and patients coming in to see me that are on the birth control pill that say, fix me. I've got these issues.
Right.
And the issues that they have are from the birth control pill. So very often, and they're actually creating an estrogen and testosterone deficiency by being on the estrogen pill.
Right.
They think, well, I'm on the estrogen pill. Shouldn't my estrogen levels be really good? And in fact, it's actually suppressing ovarian function. So right off the bat, just in that sense, I'm not a fan either. But let's get into some of the details.
Okay.
So everybody listening and watching can understand, what is this all about and how does it affect potentially me, as someone who's using the birth control pill. What is it? It's a very potent synthetic version of estrogen. It's called ethinyl estradiol. There's also a potent progesterone in the birth control pill, typically. They call that a progestin. So if it's a potent synthetic version, they're going to call it a progestin, even though it is a form of progesterone. Progesterone being the natural hormone in the body. But once they've changed it enough, they've put it into something that's technically a progestin, different molecule. And usually it is the progestin that is the most common thing that's causing the contraception itself. So as an example, you can have the Mirena IUD that has progestin in it, and that's helping with the whole birth control aspect of it. Isn't really the estrogen. Estrogen's part of it, don't get me wrong. There is suppression that goes on of ovarian and ovulation function with estrogen, but it is mostly the progestin.
Right.
So, I always say it's like a thumb on top of a woman's ovaries.
Yeah.
It is suppressing ovulation. That's the whole purpose, but it's suppressing the ability for those ovaries to secrete and produce hormone. And that's probably the biggest immediate problem that it causes.
Yeah. You're taking something by choice that is decreasing hormone production, when most of the medical system is about helping normalize hormone production.
Mhm.
And here we're purposefully shutting that off or shutting it down.
And what are some of those reasons? Why does somebody use it? I mean, obviously birth control. We were saying before that if you go to your OBGYN and you say, I have heavy periods, birth control pill. I have light periods, birth control pill. I have painful periods, cramping, birth control pill.
I have acne.
Yeah,
I feel blue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if I have PMD, the form of PMS, if I have that,
PMDD.
PMDD, then birth control pill. It's just basically what they're doing is give the other podcast, the episode that we just did, we were talking about how women are coming in and they're feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
Let's say, put the physical stuff to the side for a second. They're feeling something a certain way in and around their period. So they're actually giving them a medication to shut the ovaries up and inevitably shut the patient up.
Right.
Here, let me just give you this thing. It's going to suppress everything. And then you're not going to complain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to take it all away. I'm not going to try to find the root cause. I'm not going to try to really understand what's going on. I'm just going to give you this thing that just suppresses the hell out of everything. And now, at least temporarily, you're going to be fine.
And I'm not going to normalize the fact that you're having an understandable and natural mood down that can be, first of all, just recognized. And secondly, then alleviated through things like exercise or drinking more water. Or, it's just, no, don't feel that.
Emotions have their purpose when it's time.
Yeah, it's a method of communication from your body.
That makes me think, when it comes to autism, there's like some superpowers with some of these people with autism. And we would obviously call autism a sort of disorder. Obviously, we would. But it is true that now with more awareness, we're realizing these people are really rather fantastic. I was watching, about Temple Grandin. This is just a fantastically brilliant woman based on those things that are called a disorder. So there's ways to view what's happening with a human that isn't necessarily supposed to be suppressed, that there's ways to sort of honor it and work through it. And I think health winds up being living is a lot more about that. Anyway, birth control pill is used by 300 million women worldwide, 8.2 billion population, and we have 300 million women using the birth control pill.
Yeah, these statistics are insane. 82% of women between the ages of 15 and 44 in the United States have at one point regularly used birth control pills.
82%. Yeah, at least at one time.
And regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably at least 3 months or longer. And yes, all types of gynecological reasons. Some of the side effects, let's get into that because this is where it really gets to the reason why someone should be very careful about choosing this type of therapy. Yeast overgrowth and infection. I mean, that's just that's incredibly common. It's changing the microbiome, not only in the gut, but in the vaginal vault, because what's going on with the gut is usually translated to the vagina for women, the prostate for guys. It's sort of analogous. It's just disturbing all of it.
But I mean, just think about that. If you're having a disruption in your gut microbiome, so that means you're impairing digestive function. Mm-hmm. You can have any number of illness, including things like depression, anxiety, acne, fatigue, body pain, all the things that a person would then get prescribed birth control pill for. So it's almost like a chicken and the egg of, I feel like crap, I get given something that makes me feel like crap.
Yeah. There's definitely risk with it. This actually just reminded me, I had a patient, excuse me, she was not a patient. This was someone who worked for me years ago at my previous practice. And she was maybe early 20s. She goes to lunch and then we didn't know where she was. She wound up calling up and saying, hey, I had to go to the emergency room. I was sitting at the stoplight and she blacked out.
Oh my God, scary.
Yeah. And so she kind of came to, realize what was going on, was able to pull over and just got herself to the emergency room, called us up. So we knew that she was okay. But come to find out, they looked into all those various reasons. Of course, and she goes in the emergency room, they're going to look at neurological things and what's going on with her health. Mm-hmm. The only thing that they could actually probably conclude Well, first of all, she had a blood clot. That was part of what was going on. She had a blood clot, and they were able to take care of the blood clot. But why would this young girl in her 20s have a blood clot, had no family history of it? She wasn't a smoker. It was the birth control.
Right.
It was the birth control. And so that is a thing they had to kind of, it eventually led to understanding, hey, it's for you. The birth control bill is really leading to this. And she had to stop it. But I've said too before for years, if women are on the birth control pill and they smoke, it's a ticking time bomb.
Right.
They're begging for a stroke.
And it's so crazy how comfortable society, medical society, and then just like people at large are with taking these medications that have such a known side effect profile.
If you ask a patient, what medications are you on?
Yeah, they won't mention birth
control. They
control.
won't mention the pill.
No.
They don't see it even as a medication.
They'll tell you they're on omega-3, but they won't tell you they're on birth control.
Yeah, it's like this given thing. Yes, yeast, irregular bleeding, blood pressure issues. There's all kinds of risk, even brain tumor. And that was something that I didn't even realize. And these are meningioma is what it's called. And that's just in a certain part of the brain where you'll have this it's not really a life-threatening type of tumor, but it comes up. It's one of these things. It's likely due to the progestins, that part of the birth control pill. Cervical cancer and then even breast cancer is a potential link.
Excuse me. Not sneezing though. Sneezing's
not related to the
a nose tickle.
One of the biggest issues I think, and I've seen this too, is systemic inflammation, just body-wide inflammation from taking this potent synthetic version of estrogen,
which people might not even know they have. I mean, we check all these general inflammatory markers as exactly that. They are these non-invasive tools to give us insight into the general health and wellness of the body.
Yes.
People go their whole life without knowing that they're chronically inflamed.
Mm-hmm. CRP, C-reactive protein, that's a common one we check. And you'll definitely see elevated CRP with patients who are on the birth control pill. It's affecting all kinds of other hormones too. It's not just like it's sitting there and just, again, people think they take it, they don't even mention that they're taking it. They think it's this thing behind the scenes, not really affecting their body, but it's affecting other hormones, particularly thyroid.
Right. My goodness.
Yeah. It's increasing something called thyroid binding globulin. So that's a transport protein that takes the thyroid throughout the body. But if you increase that protein, you're binding up your own thyroid hormone, and then it's not actually doing what it's supposed to do.
Right. So that means the thyroid hormone that you are producing isn't available for use. Therefore, metabolism as a whole starts to go down.
Right. So, and it literally seems like you have low thyroid when you don't. It's just the birth control pills making it look like you do.
Right.
It's definitely lowering testosterone, and it's increasing the stress hormone cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, women get on the birth control pill, their testosterone goes down and lowers their libido.
Right.
And they're doing it for the sake of ultimately casual sex.
I mean, all of these things that we have listed are social media sweethearts. Cortisol, my gut health, my low libido, but no one is talking about the freaking birth control.
Yeah. That could be leading to exactly why they're worried about those things. It should be the first thing that a younger woman should be considering.
Even in this wave of a return to, I don't know what the trendy phrases are, but a return to the olden ways, homesteading and making my own kimchi and changing my deodorant to something non-toxic, all wonderful decisions. But no one is saying get off of the birth control.
Yeah, that should be the first thing. Totally agree. It's decreasing nutrients. That's huge. Magnesium. Magnesium is probably one of the biggest things it's affecting, and magnesium is the number one mineral nutrient deficiency of all minerals.
Yep.
And
it's involved in like the significant majority of biochemical reactions in the body. So, I mean, you're not sleeping well. Oh, you don't have enough magnesium. You don't poop every day, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Magnesium.
Yeah, and we're already deficient in our diets, and most people aren't supplementing, and now they're on the birth control pill, and they're just making the whole thing worse.
The disparity in the supply and demand is just so grossly affected by being on birth control.
Yeah. Copper, vitamins, vitamin B1, 2, 3, 6, 12, folic acid, vitamin C, E.
Selenium, again, thyroid.
Yes. Zinc. tyrosine, amino acid tyrosine, and even CoQ10. And when CoQ10 is low, this is causing problems with your heart. It's just, it's a nasty, it comes with a price for sure.
I mean, if we just read out loud to the audience here, our categories, it's like low libido, nutrient deficiency, depression, increased autism and neurodevelopment in the offspring.
And yes. Okay. Good point. So we're not just, we're now dealing with if you get pregnant while you're on the birth control pill. I would say that is not optimal. So,
and not just that, if you get pregnant right after being on birth control pill. So, I mean, I always counsel my patients that are coming in for preconception, give it the 90 days. And if you feel a pressure of time that you don't have those 90 days, then get more aggressive in how you're cleaning out your body.
And the detox. Absolutely. It's decreasing serotonin levels for patients. I mean, which of course, all of that's affecting mood. Here's now. So now let's shift. So that's some of the direct. It's just affecting your body negatively. It's sucking up nutrients, disturbing your hormones. But it gets into more in-depth concepts that have social implications. Women on the birth control pill have more difficulty in assessing the emotions of others by about 10% less.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's affecting instinct. And we've been talking a lot about instinct. I think that's something that we believe is really important for patients to be empowered, to be able to understand about their own health and how to navigate their own health, how to be their best own advocate. You have to have your own instinct. And many of the things that are in our society take away our own natural instincts.
Yeah, well, we have a detachment from self that we accurately blame on things like too much social media, too much electronics, too much disconnect from nature, too much disconnect from each other. There are all these things that are in our external environment that are influencing our ability to be intuitive. But what about the things that you are choosing to do on a daily basis that are interrupting your self instinct and your intuition? Birth control is on the top of that list.
Right at the top of the list.
Yeah. That means bad decisions. That means less safe environment. That means poor choice in peers.
Well, you say that about less safe environment. Women are on the birth control pill actually have a higher incidence of violent death.
That's a really weird statistic.
Isn't it? And it probably, this has to do with the fact that women are putting themselves
instincts are down.
Yeah, instincts are down. They're choosing partners that really aren't the best partner, and that's where they have risks then.
Yeah.
They're literally putting themselves at risk.
Like you've seen those videos of girls and guys who don't know each other, and it's usually the guy says to the girl, like, hey, there's a party, you want to come? And the girl's like, okay. And the guy will often say, like, do you need to bring your friend? No, that's all right. She's having a good time. Let's go. And then it's a video, right, where this is purposefully being documented. So then the guy will take her to a dead end street, and then she'll be like, where's the party? And he's like, you don't know me. You got in my car. Oh, wow. You have no idea where I was going to take you. What the hell were you thinking? Right. So it's like these educational moments. That's why those videos, I think, are circulating. Like, women make better choices. Well, there is a correlation between that party girl mentality and birth control use.
Yeah, because the birth control has created the concept of casual sex. Casual sex, this is a relatively new concept. I mean, we might take that for granted now. But I would say since about the 1960s with the sexual revolution and the advent of the birth control pill at that point, prior to that, sex wasn't as readily available because there was a selective process that was going on. Mostly women, of course, were controlling that process.
Women, the parents.
And the parents, yes.
Were making it harder for someone to penetrate.
Right.
The barrier.
Right. They had to step up.
Literally
and figuratively.
Figuratively.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean,
and a lot of times now it's the parents that are taking the child in for birth control for the purpose of, we don't want them to have what is the phrase? Unwanted pregnancy,
Mhm.
right? Which I get, I really do. But I think we're missing the lesson, we're missing the point. And unfortunately, parents are not being well educated, neither are teens, on what they are sacrificing. If you give this list to parents and say, these are the things you're going to give your daughter in exchange for the
I don't
security
have to worry,
of
right?
not having
Yeah.
pregnancy, how many parents would still go forward with it?
Well, I highly doubt that the gynecologist that's going to generally first prescribe that for a young girl is going to go over these things.
I don't think most gynecologists are aware. I don't think this information's coming into that pamphlet.
Mm-hmm. Or if it is, those pamphlets are designed the way they are, probably for a reason.
Well, especially
Yeah,
like,
right,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm already like doing this, like,
No, the
yeah,
print is,
that
the
looks
print's
good.
very
Sure,
small.
let's go forward. All right, I skipped you around a bit. I'm sorry. There's some
No,
meaty
I think you
juices
covered
here.
some really good stuff there, and
No, I said meaty juices. I don't know what that is. Anyway, go on.
the meaty juice. I wonder how they're affected by the birth control pill. My wonderful sister-in-law, Dr. Lilia Bosch. I'm going to now talk about mate choice, and I'm going to talk about major histocompatibility complex. And so I just said that perfectly.
Yeah, you did.
Of course I did. But I didn't say it perfectly when I had mentioned this on another podcast.
And
which
she was like,
she let me know right away.
She was like,
yeah, you didn't say it right.
That's mispronounced. I mean,
well,
all with good intention.
Of course. And her problem is she's brilliant and she's super smart. So she could smell those things a mile away. Yes, major histocompatibility complex, MHC. This has to do with your immune system. This is so incredibly important. The birth control pill is screwing up your immune system. It's changing its expression. And usually we would be attracted to someone with an immune system that's different. So a woman would want to be attracted to a mate, a male mate that has a slightly different immune system. So that improves the immune system of the offspring.
Because ultimately, at a primitive level, sex is about procreation, and procreation is about survival of the fittest. So who's going to make the top dog baby?
Absolutely. And so we want to make sure that that's all intact. Well, what does the birth control pill do? It changes that immune system response to where a woman is then attracted to a like immune system, the MHC complex, the same as her. And then if she comes off the birth control, so now she's attracted to that guy, seemingly. She comes off the birth control pill, and now she wakes up and says, wait a second. Now her biochemistry literally reverts back to what it's supposed to be.
To her true self.
To her true self.
And he's a dud.
Incorrect.
Didn't that happen to a patient of yours?
Yes, it's funny you should say. So we were talking about this just in another, sort of loosely in another podcast, and she was in the waiting room listening, and she came into, and she's been a patient of mine for years. I love her to death. And she said, oh God, I know now why I left my first husband. And she said that had literally happened. She said that she got off the birth control pill and then suddenly realized that he wasn't sort of that alpha guy that she actually wanted. She said because he was a little bit short, but that wasn't really the issue. He just wasn't manly to her.
Right.
But she didn't realize it until she got off the birth control pill and started fantasizing about
burly boys,
big old men and all that. But it didn't happen until after. She said she didn't understand why that was happening to her at the time. And now she's been with her second husband forever.
Right.
So this was years ago. So right there, right there in
crazy.
the waiting room, she had an epiphany.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before, and we'll continue to talk about it because it's such an important topic that really when we are making poor choices, because we are being chemically altered away from our true self, we are also having this multidimensional disservice to our to our mate, because that's not fair to him that you oops, made a mistake.
Right.
We're having this disservice to society as a whole, where we're making men think that passive men are more attractive than manly men. I don't know, those are opposites. So if they're not, then I hope you can follow my thought. The idea that masculinity is toxic, none of that is true.
Right.
I mean, toxic guys are toxic, just like toxic girls are toxic.
Right.
But masculinity and femininity
Expressing your
are
femininity,
not
yes,
toxic.
Yes, it should not be looked at that way. Right.
So this is actual chemical warfare to a certain extent. That's strong. I don't think I've said that before, but I really feel that way.
Chemical warfare. Well, there's more to it. Look, if we're in the midst of that whole issue of saying, okay, this is chemical warfare, there's all of these problems that are happening biochemically, a woman can come off the birth control pill. So back to what you had said when the episode first started, you're not a fan. If a woman walks into my office and she's going to ask me, and she doesn't, and the first question I say, are you on the birth control pill for birth control? That's my first question. And if she says, well, no, I'm not taking it for birth control. I don't know. They just told me to take it because I had heavy periods with it. Then I'm instantaneously helping to influence her to come off of it.
Right.
Because no, we'll work on it in some other way. You don't need that for that issue. If she says I'm using it for birth control, then we have to have that more reasonable conversation to say, well,
what are the options?
What are the options? How do we go about it?
And I understand that the options are not always options.
Yes. And by the way, if somebody chooses to stay on the birth control pill, I honor that. Deal with it. And we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
But our job is just to educate and say, hey, this is what's going on. You need to make a cost-benefit analysis for yourself personally.
I mean, I always say that. I always say to the patient, my responsibility is to give you all of the options, all of them. And then either have a plan of like, first we're going to do this and then we're going to do that. So we're just planting a seed for the future. Or to say, no, this isn't really what I want to do. And that's fine. But now it's an educated choice, which is a much better feeling than, oh, I didn't know that. And I've been taking this thing. Right?
Well, if we wanted to help a patient come off the birth control pill, I mean, what can somebody do? What's the first thing they should consider?
Well, I mean, of course, are they actively or not actively trying to procreate? So those are two different concepts. Okay. So let's pretend they don't want to get pregnant.
Right.
Because if they want to get pregnant, it's a whole different list of things that they need to do. But if you do not want to get pregnant and you're going to stop the birth control, you do have to take seriously that even in your 40s, you can still get pregnant. So that has to be addressed, which I think is the fear that a lot of women later in age say, well, I don't want to get pregnant. I have no other option. That's not true. So if surgical intervention is not an option for them, then they have to use some kind of barrier method. Okay. Then you have to start going through a process of cleaning out the body. And I would recommend that we're cleaning out the body while at the same time we are replacing the nutrients that are necessary for detoxification and that also have been depleted
during that whole
because of the birth control. So those are the two things that I would recommend you do at the same time. You want to actively replete, which is replenish, and you want to delicately detoxify the body.
Yes.
Because detox obviously is a whole topic on itself.
Here's another strategy. So that's sort of the foundational approach. The other thing is that if a woman's been on the birth control pill for a long time and we're checking her hormone levels, usually her estradiol levels are suppressed, super low. And she might actually be having symptoms as a result of both her estradiol and her testosterone levels being low. So one of the things that I'll do to help support them, because look, some patients will say, I've come off the birth control pill in the past and it was hell.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like,
so
it was horrible.
These are parallel paths. This is the idea of replacing the hormones necessary to allow for wellness versus what I was talking about, which is cleaning out the crap.
Right. Well, yeah, cleaning out the crap. So now we've got that part handled.
Yeah. Or now, at the same time.
Yes. Handled at the same time.
Right.
While we're simultaneously giving them estrogen.
Yes.
So we will give them estrogen and testosterone and then say, now you're supported. So coming off is going to be easier, because I'll say, just because you felt that way in the past coming off it, it doesn't mean you're going to feel that way this time.
Yes.
So we've supported you nutritionally, and now we're going to give you some hormone, because a lot of times I'll give, especially for a younger woman, let's say in her 20s or 30s, I'll give her a little bit of estrogen during that washout period that supports her. And then after a few months, we can stop.
The ovaries start cranking up on their own.
It's fine after that. Exactly. So yes,
I mean, that's why we will use the expression often of metabolic rehabilitation, because you're actually rehabbing the body. Now, sometimes you're still dependent on certain things. Like if you have true hypothyroidism or you're postmenopausal or whatever, but a lot of times what we're doing is we're guiding the body to have the most wellness on its own by giving it just the necessary ingredients so that it can function optimally on its own. Using estrogen while dosing someone off or while cleaning them off of their hormone replacement, birth control is going to allow them to feel well through the process so that they're not suffering.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yeah, not into suffering.
Yeah. No, no, I am not.
Increase probiotics as well. That's the other big thing. So
the gut.
It will work on the gut. Because the gut has usually been trashed in some
Yeah.
way, whether by the birth control pill or whatever else might have been going on with their health.
Or the
in
thing
general,
that started that resulted in the pill being a diagnosis in the first place.
Yeah, right. The need in the first place. Exactly. Yeah. So whatever, chicken or egg, that's the whole thing. That's what I love about this type of medicine that we do. It's very much a puzzle. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I think patients enjoy that puzzle. I had a new patient the other day, and the new patient visit is a long visit. We go through a lot of labs. We go through a lot of in-office tests and discussion. And I always approach it that way. I'm like, this is an opportunity, a very informal opportunity. Like, let's just talk about what your body's actually doing. And I find that most people walk away so excited by that conversation. Like, I never knew. And the minute you know, you can never unknow. So every decision that you've been making becomes a little bit easier to adjust for the purposes of wellness.
They'll say, I never knew. And they'll say, I've never had anybody explain it to me this way.
Yeah.
Sitting down and actually going step by step through pages of labs with a patient, really taking the time is a real unique experience for them because they're used to the doctor holding the labs in their own hand, with their other hand on the handle of the door.
Yeah.
And they're not really they're just saying everything's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything else. You don't need to see the man behind the curtain. Everything is fine. Don't worry about it.
That system doesn't allow. But also, let's give some credit here that the patients who come to see us are patients who want to know.
Yes, that's true. And a lot of times doctors don't have a lot of time to explain everything too. And I get it. And depending on the medical setting, our medical setting is designed to give them time.
Right. That's the whole point of what we do. That's the
commodity, absolutely, and what people need and deserve.
If you're coming to see us for something like this, it's because you want to know and you want to take action and you want someone who's going to guide you along the way.
I think so. To summarize all of this, the birth control pill, it's got a lot of risks to it. It deals with some good things, and it certainly causes some bad things. And you have to have a cost-benefit analysis.
Okay. And excuse me to interject, but I do want to say that even though I have such a strong stance on something, you've repeatedly said, like, we always meet a patient where they're at. Just because I feel strongly about something, I'm going to share that truth with you, but I'm still going to work with you to help you understand what your options are based on your goals and your wishes. Not mine. It's your body and your budget.
Patients often get fear. They have fear of being judged.
Yeah.
And that's not anything that we do. I'm not judging them through the process. We're informing. There's a certain level of impartiality for their sake throughout the process. And in the end, where there's maybe some risk with the birth control pill, obviously a lot of people do it, and it's something that people could do. We don't recommend it.
For birth control.
For a lot of things, really. We don't recommend it.
Okay, fine.
But
I'll stick to that.
We'll meet the patient where they're at. Yeah. Nonetheless, it's about treating a human.
All right. So summary?
That's the summary.
Okay. Great.
Are you liking what you're hearing? Do you want to hear more? Do you want others to benefit from this great content? Do you want to ask us a question? Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. You can find links to all of our social media channels on all of our featured articles and basically everything we do on our link tree at Longevity Protocol Pod. If you want a little bit more about our personal lives, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Sex Docs. Here's where you can comment. You can ask questions that we'll directly address for you in our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our Substack. I love this. This is where there's far more information. All of the notes on this podcast today and all of our other episodes are there, along with protocols for longevity and health. And finally, if you're ready to take a change and make a change in your health, and you want to see us as a new patient right here in Scottsdale, Arizona, please inquire through our private practice, hormone-zone.com.